So in this video, I want to share with you the top 10 reasons why Canadians tell us they want to get into US real estate. One of the biggest reasons that we hear all the time is the strong currency advantage. A trending piece of news for a while now has been the declining Canadian dollar, and that has posed many challenges for a lot of us, not just on a real estate level, but also on a consumer level. Basic things that we want to buy have been becoming more expensive, which has been creating challenges for both businesses and for families all across the board. So if you're a real estate person and you can start buying properties in the US, that means that you can start earning money in USD, and that will give you an advantage back home. The second reason we hear a lot is because you can generally find much more affordable properties in the US, meaning that the barrier of entry is not so challenging. In the US, between states, there's a lot of disparity in real estate values, and that also goes for neighborhoods within cities. So you can go to certain places in the States and look in certain cities where you can find properties ranging from $50,000 to $200,000 all the way up to $500,000. But while we're on that topic, I do think it's important to mention here that there is a reason why that happens. You know, zip codes are very important in the US, and certain neighborhoods are restricted by certain zip codes. So while you might be looking at an area and say, oh, this property is quite affordable and it's only 1 block away from a really nice B-class neighborhood, you could very easily be buying a property in a much more challenging area. So while this is attractive to many Canadians that you can buy affordable property, you just have to be careful and understand what it is you're looking at. Now, the third reason we hear a lot about why Canadians want to buy American real estate is actually to do with mortgages. So in the US, if you want to get a mortgage, you can buy property, investment property, based on performance instead of based on income. Where in Canada, if you are getting a loan on a property, instead of getting a loan on the performance of the property, you're typically getting a loan on your income. So your borrowing capacity is based solely on how much income you're drawing. Whereas in the US, they're going to look at the performance of the property, and you will be able to get a mortgage based on how much that property is going to rent for and whether that property can pay for the mortgage. And that is a big difference. The fourth reason we get a lot, which ties into the third one, is actually the maturity of the financial industry. Basically, anything that you might think of creatively in Canada, whether you want to just buy and burr a property, you know, fix it up, refinance it later, you have to get a mortgage in Canada that is either open term or you get a private mortgage that you know you're going to break in a short period of time, and then you have to like mix all these packages together. Whereas in the US, you can actually get a mortgage from the get-go and tell them what your plan is and say, hey, I want to buy this property, I want to put in 20% of the renovation fund, and then I want to pull all of my money out through a refinance. And many financiers will have a package that's already preset for you to choose from, where you'll be able to do all of that. You don't have to go talk to different lenders and package a whole bunch of different things together like you do in Canada. Now, the fifth thing, which we get from a lot of experienced real estate investors, is landlord and tenant rules. Now, we hear this all the time, but if you are from Canada and you are familiar with what it's like to have rental property, the landlord and tenant rules are definitely not in our favor. And so people say they want to get away from the landlord and tenant board. Imagine that, you know, entire population is not wanting to be real estate investors because they have been scarred by having bad tenants. For a lot of Canadians that have shifted into US real estate, they found that the landlord tenant rules are actually a lot more balanced. You know, if a tenant doesn't pay rent, you're not subject to a long bureaucratic process to evict them, where they could stay in your property for up to a year before anything is said and done. Where in the end, there is no actual recourse for you to ever see your money back. So for that reason, a lot of Canadians want to go and invest in US property. By the way, if you've been thinking about this for a while and you want to get into the real estate market right now, click on the video. We're going to have links somewhere here. Check it out. We're going to have a lot of information compacted into it, explaining exactly how you can make that move, start expanding your real estate game. Now, as we get into the next 5 reasons, some of them are a little more typical, but a lot of Canadians are investing in the US because they want to be able to take advantage of potential immigration opportunities or citizenship. So if you haven't heard about it, if you are investing in US real estate and you are putting in enough money and you are, let's say, doing this as an active business, maybe you want to flip a house, burr a house, buy a property, fix it up, rent it out, and then sell it after a little bit, you can apply for an E2 visa. And that is a big reason why a lot of Canadians want to also diversify into US real estate. And the seventh reason we hear all the time, which also ties into some of the immigration aspects, is that it is simply warmer. They want to go further south, especially people who are thinking a little bit more on the broader retirement option and they want to eventually start to shift themselves over there. Climate plays a big factor for a lot of people. So if they're buying properties in certain areas and they want to buy in an area that they could see themselves one day moving to, climate is a big deal. The eighth reason, which is another big motivation for people, it has to do with a combination of the cost of the properties and also the cash flow of the properties, is that if you sell one property in Canada, Canada, for a lot of people who have owned real estate, a lot of people are finding they can go to the US and buy 2 properties and make considerably more income. And that again is a bit more of a combination of reasons, but I think as an independent reason, it makes a lot of sense. The 9th reason we get is that a lot of Canadians simply want to diversify and hedge against the potential of a declining Canadian market. After the pandemic, a lot of Canadians really took a hit, especially for those who weren't playing a cash flow game and who were playing strictly an appreciation game. People who were banking on appreciation really lost a lot of money, and now a lot of Canadians are wary of that possibility. So they want to invest in markets that are considerably more affordable while retaining some of their Canadian investments that they're just waiting on appreciation, but they want to make sure that they have cash flow as well as appreciation plays. And the 10th and final reason why a lot of Canadians not just want to invest in the US but are also willing to is because of geographic and cultural familiarity. As Canadians, we're actually not too dissimilar to Americans, and that's not to offend anyone, but it really is just a little bit of a fact. You know, we listen to the same music, we watch the same movies. Culturally overall, we're pretty similar, so it doesn't feel like too big of a step out of our comfort zone. If you were going to buy a property that is in one of the northern states, also relatively close to the border, it's actually driving distance for many Canadians, right? I say this all the time, but for Canadians who are interested in buying properties that are further north and looking at places like Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, and other places, or if you're in BC and you're in Vancouver and you also decide you want to go north or further out, these can be big drives. And if you're somebody who wants to be in proximity to your property, being able to hop in your car and go visit the place definitely brings a degree of comfort. With that being said, those are the 10 reasons why we find Canadians want to buy into US real estate. If we missed anything, please let me know what are some of your reasons why you would like to diversify outside of Canada into the American market. Until next time, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you on the